The song and video dropped on Monday. Also in the video is LeBron's business manager, Maverick Carter. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time. Whenever news breaks, while we're on the air, it's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580. And we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
Aristocrats, I'm climbing, making money, do the time. Communism is just a word. If government turn over, it'll be the only word that's heard. America, America, God share His grace on you. America, America, keep the children free. Little sister, make them rage. Living in a one-room jungle, monkey cage. Can't get over, she's almost dead. She may not be in black, but she happy she ain't in red. America,
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on this tenacious Tuesday with Dr. Barbara Arnwine. Our very special guest in this hour is Dr. Willie Gable, a doctor of ministry, a master's of divinity, a master's of public health, the pastor emeritus of the Progressive Baptist Church, and instructor for the National Baptist Convention USA Congress of Christian Education. We will have a conversation with Dr. Gable about the state of our world. But before that conversation, I want to dedicate this program to two amazing people. One, to the mother of Angie Coleman Scott, who passed away on this day. Angie is one of our original engineers and a great friend of mine and a great friend of our executive producers. And I know that this is a difficult time for their family. I want to wish them the very best. Let them know that our prayers and thoughts are with them, as well as Torrance Scott, the grandson of Angie Scott's mother, who is our current engineer. I also want to dedicate this program to the life of Malcolm Jamal Warner. I was thinking about Brother Warner since his death. And it hit me that a significant part of his legacy as a young African-American male on film, that's what many of us know about Malcolm. Those of us who did not know him personally, we know him from film. And growing up in a household with two professional African-American parents, as Theo Huxtable, and as an adult, well, pick and choose what role he's played from when he was a young black man on The Cosby Show to when he became an adult. I pick and choose his adulthood as a cardiac surgeon on The Resident. And boy, did he play that role. I couldn't get it out of my mind. Malcolm Jamal Warner was Theo Huxtable, who became, in my mind, a resident physician. Maybe the best cardiac surgeon we've ever seen on film. Of course, they say about many doctors that, particularly cardiac surgeons and brain surgeons, that they develop a God complex, that when they start the human heart, when they transplant the human heart in organ donation. They have within them the very power of life itself. And here before the nation was an African-American actor playing the role of a cardiac surgeon. I've never seen it playing better. And not only his life as a cardiac surgeon, but the character that he developed throughout the series was nothing less than extraordinary. Either way, it is the path of a young African-American who grew up in a middle-class African-American home with two professional parents, whose professionalism is largely responsible to Brown versus the Board of Education and the Civil Rights Movement, who became doctors and lawyers, had a wonderful family that, for the American people, told the stories of our lives. Played by Bill Cosby, the father, and Felicia Rashad, the mother. What a family. What an era of 8 years of solid Black experience. I want to also acknowledge the late Alvin Toussaint. Dr. Toussaint was the psychiatrist behind the scenes of The Cosby Show, a personal doctor of members of my family, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Mrs. Jesse Jackson, my own physician, yes, psychiatrist, who helped guide us through the thoughts of our lives. And before a single episode of the Cosby Show ever aired, if you look at the credits, it always acknowledges Dr. Alvin Toussaint, which means that the Cosby Show took into account the psychological impact of every character and what it meant for Black life, how we saw Black life. And he wanted Dr. Alvin Toussaint, the late Dr. Alvin Toussaint, the images of a Black family to be eternal, to be fun, to be loving, to show the dynamics of who we are. When we come forward, the introduction of Dr. Willie Gable. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we aim to foster enlightening, sustainable, restorative dialogue, and we welcome unapologetically progressive viewpoints that empower fellow citizens. We are now accepting submissions for KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorials like this one.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley Show conversation with James Falk. James said something that caught me off guard. Black Altadena is gone. My community is being murdered. I said murdered.
All you have to do is go to our website homepage at KBLA1580.com and click on the icon that says KBLA Guest Editorials to learn more about our editorial standards and content submission guidelines. As long as the topic aligns with our mission, we are happy to review your submission and consider it for broadcast. We can't make any promises, but we want to amplify progressive perspectives that are community-focused and solution-oriented. So go to KBLA1580.com right now to download all the information you need about our guest editorials. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. And I thank you, thank you.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580, and you're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. Willie Gabriel, a native of New Orleans, doctorate of ministry from the United Theological Seminary in Dayton, Ohio, his master's of divinity from Union Baptist Theological Seminary in New Orleans, Louisiana, a master's of public health from the University of Southern California, Los Angeles, and bachelor's of science from Tennessee State University in Nashville, Tennessee. Committed to a life of ministry and community service, Dr. Gable is the pastor of Progressive Baptist Church, only its third pastor in 124 years. He is the founder and executive director of the Dr. M.W. McCaleb Education Fund, Inc., a nonprofit organization that offers housing, rental assistance, and tutoring to low-income individuals and families. Dr. Gable has formerly served on many community boards. He is currently a member of the Leading Edge, chairman, president, National Baptist Convention Housing and Economic Development Board, National Conference for the Community Service and Justice, Legacy Foundation, Gulf Coast Housing Partnership. Dr. Gable, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hello, my friend, and how are you?
I'm doing just great. Dr. Gable, I have so much, and our listeners here at KBLA have so much that we want you to share with us today, but I want to start first with your reflections on the legacy and the meaning in the loss of a young man that we all grew up with. We watched him mature into adulthood, and he was always very concerned about his legacy. Your thoughts on Malcolm Jamal Warner?
Yes, it was certainly a shock on yesterday morning when I heard that he had died, unfortunately, in a swimming incident or accident. And the legacy that the Cosby Show had on all Americans, you know, there were, 20 million, 30 million people watching every week. And so that wasn't just African Americans who were watching. It was an opportunity for laughter, but also insight. If you recall, many of the episodes dealt with real issues that people were facing. And you had an opportunity to see how the Cosbys dealt with that particular issue. And so the impact, I guess, for families, it's insurmountable. It's unprecedented. You know, obviously everyone says, oh, it's the first time we had a complete black middle-class family being represented on TV. And that is true in and of itself. But we had always seen certain blacks who had elevated themselves. This show, however, was a family built on fun, faith, and hard work. You had working parent in that household, but not just laborers. They were professionals in their own right. And so even though many in our community had parents who were doctors and lawyers and physicians and or professors, this was the first time we were able to showcase it with a little levity, you know, from the script writers and obviously from Bill Cosby himself. And Malcolm was just a young fellow who grew up in our, you know, in our own experiences. And a lot of young people his age, at age 54, I'm much older than he was, but a lot of young people related to him. It was easy. And as he matured, as the show left and he matured in other roles and his presentation in documentaries, etc. Even his skills as an artist, you know, poet and winning Emmys, a gigantic step. It is really unfortunate that, you know, and then we have to deal with the fact, well, black men don't typically know how to swim. What was he doing out in the ocean? You know, that stigma that's there. No, he was an avid swimmer, but what happened with him, from what I hear happened, is, you know, the one of those waves came in, the undercurrents, and took him out. And even with the best swimmers, it can suck you out and take your life.
Dr. Gable,
I'm understanding that even another young man was hurt during that. I don't know the extent of his injuries, but he was also hurt during that time.
Dr. Gable, yesterday, our very special guest was Kerry Gordy. Kerry Gordy is the executive producer of a new Netflix documentary, which he used this show to introduce to the world last Friday, as well as this past Monday. A new documentary that was dropped at Netflix on Sunday called Sunday's Best. It is really a view of the life of Ed Sullivan from the Black perspective. And by that, I mean, we went from ham boning and blackface to Ed Sullivan presenting the very best of who African American and African American culture was.
Absolutely.
It provided a window into the Black experience in the most classic way humanly possible. And in a real sense, Dr. Gable, the Cosby Show itself was an introduction for many Americans to Black family and Black family life.
Absolutely. I grew up every Sunday watching Ed Sullivan to see who his guests. You know, I'm not going to try to do my little Ed Sullivan
impersonation,
but we all, you know, and at that time I was living in the projects of New Orleans. But, you know, it was the Ed Sullivan Show in black and white that we looked forward to seeing. Many of the entertainers who we came to know and who became renowned in their own profession and their own professional rights, we first saw on the Ed Sullivan Show. We heard about them, but we had not seen them until Ed Sullivan came on. So it was, in fact, a bastion for opening opportunities for us to see Black elite professionals, you know, honing their crafts and presenting their crafts. Dinah Washington and Nat King Cole, you know, for the old schools. But then Diana Ross came in.
Absolutely.
You can name it. I would hasten to say Flip Wilson got his start on it.
So
ended up with a show.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Let me throw this out at you, Doc. Oftentimes, and I say this giving tremendous praise and credit to my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, and certainly to my mother, Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson.
Jackson, yes.
In 1984 and 1988, when we as a family stepped out on the national stage of the Democratic Convention and showcased, if you will, a Black family seeking the highest office in the land with my father. So many people give credit to Jesse Jackson, and I respect that credit. Please do not get me wrong, for what would ultimately lead to the presidency of Barack Obama.
Absolutely.
But there may be a missing cultural factor in that analysis, which includes that the Cosby Show also entered every living room in America. And by the time after Jesse ran and after Cosby kind of educated the American people on professional Black families, it made the idea of a Black family in the White House possible. Absolutely.
I would agree with that summation, my friend, attorney. There were a number of things that segued into the 84 run of the Reverend Jesse Jackson Jr.
Senior.
And certainly, I would agree, the Cosby Show actually, senior, forgive me, unless you're planning on running. I would agree with you that the Cosby Show had its impacts. And the times were changing in '84. We had just moved out of the disco era. And we were now more into, rap, spoken word, and people were confused about rap as to whether or not it was going to stay. Now we realize it's, moved into every genre around the world. That was an impact. And the Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson Sr. Knew about that and used that too to speak to individuals, understanding the cultural change. But there's no doubt the Cosby Show had some impact upon acceptance, I would say, into the larger landscape of our society.
I'll never forget, I think it was 1984 when Dad was running for president, and Mike Wallace from 60 Minutes sat in our backyard. And on 60 Minutes, our entire family was introduced to the American people. And Mike Wallace commented in an amazing way. Every one of my siblings, brothers and sisters, spoke. And he commented to Reverend Jackson on how articulate every single member of the Jackson family was and how well educated we were.
Yes.
And it was a beautiful thing to hear from him. But on the other hand, it was a little bit offensive, like, hey, articulate Black families are here and have been here for a long time.
Thank you.
Our first time showing up on 60 Minutes.
It's just you met one.
Yeah.
We had a whole lot of articulate families, I guess James Baldwin and, others would say, wait a minute, we've been around a long time. Right. The voice would say, what about my family? we were here before him, and even if you sat down with Martin's family, Dr. King.
Absolutely.
Everyone was articulate in that family. They were raised that way.
Professionals. I mean, this is to get into the middle class of America was, a significant part of the legal denial and process, all the way to the process of acceptance, of opening up doors to make it possible to experience the American dream for Black people.
Absolutely. I would agree with you, my friend, that that changed a lot. And the impact, though, of Reverend Jackson running lifted a whole lot of us up with possibility and potentiality. It was the fact that you had a Black man, not just on a TV sitcom, but now a Black man who is running for the highest office in the land, and it's being accepted. It's being accepted by so many. That was the real thing. And, when we dig down into the numbers, the number of states that were won, in fact, Reverend Jackson, to be sure, was the one who actually changed the whole DNC structure.
Yes.
In terms of counting delegates. Anybody who wins now need to come and pat him on the shoulder. Say, you helped me get in here. You wouldn't have made it in the old guard getting delegates. They kind of controlled who got the delegates at that time.
Dr. Gable, I want to pivot in the 3 minutes before our break, and of course we have 2 more segments, about 3 minutes left. But I want to shift to the state of our world. We have about 3 minutes, and I'd like to hear your summation, if you will. We'll talk about it after we come forward. But about 2.5 to 3 minutes. What's going on from your perspective?
Evil. I know a clergy is supposed to say that. I'm not saying that because of a clergy. I'm saying that because I'm Willie Gable, living where I can it is almost distilled evil that permeates this whole world now. Since our last show, I've been out of the country, other parts of this world, and there's just this mood amongst the people now. This evil that is seemed to permeate. Wherever there's evil, there is also conflict, confusion, those things, no compromise. And that's what's happening now. You call a country, and I can tell you about what's happening. Afghanistan, yes, we left there and we had all of these problems, but the evil that's still present. But Europe, look at Europe now. We've got the right wings that are stepping up. But even in the UK, we're supposed to have a pretty temperate sort of prime minister, but at the same time, he's closing his borders, and he's saying, well, it's just me, myself, and I. It's our country. Immigration, well, let's forget it. Let's not use that word. Isolation has become the order of the day for many of our countries who had open arms, even if they didn't have open borders. They had open arms. And this country, I don't even want to begin to talk about where we are in this country. The only thing I can surmise it as, it's not one individual, but it's the evil that permeates the psyche of individuals to the extent that they're seduced by doing what's against rather than doing what's connecting. That's the kind of evil I'm talking about. Some people are going out of their way to hurt others.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. My very special guest is none other than Dr. Willie Gable. He's an instructor, the National Baptist Convention U.S. Congress of Christian Education, and one of the most important, thoughtful ministers in our nation today. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, more with Dr. Willie Gable.
The biggest names, the best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is blaming sanctuary city laws for keeping New York City from alerting ICE about 2 undocumented suspects who shot a border agent.
We are not allowed to coordinate with federal authorities unless the person is convicted of a crime and after he served his time.
Both had criminal records and deportation orders. Border czar Tom Homan blames city policies. Bill Cosby is remembering Malcolm Jamal Warner after his death at 54, calling him, quote, a great studier, end quote, and a mentee he stayed close with. Warner, who played Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, died Sunday while swimming on vacation in Costa Rica. And Bernice King, daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., is calling for the release of Jeffrey Epstein's files after thousands of pages tied to her father's death were made public. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and more for a child in poverty. And there are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams conducted their first day of training camp today at Loyola Marymount University. The first open practice for fans will be Thursday. This is the first time in 8 years the Rams are starting a training camp without Cooper Kupp. The All-Pro receiver signed with Seattle as a free agent. The Rams have a pretty good replacement for Kupp. They signed 12-year veteran Devontae Adams, a 6-time Pro Bowler. Before signing veteran point guard Chris Paul on Monday, Clippers management asked James Harden if he was okay with Paul joining the team. Harden said he was cool with it. The Clippers wanted to be sure. Harden and Paul were teammates for 2 seasons with the Houston Rockets from 2017 to 2019. There were reports that Harden and Paul did not get along at times because both wanted to be the dominant ball handler. Apparently, things are all good today. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetic unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, also known as AD, a type of dementia that affects memory, thinking, and behavior, making everyday tasks challenging. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? There are things you can do to help reduce your risk for developing AD. Managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure is crucial. Staying physically active, maintaining social connections, eating a healthy diet, and keeping your mind engaged with activities like reading or puzzles can all contribute to brain health. It's also important to recognize some common signs and symptoms of early AD, such as forgetfulness that causes problems with everyday life, asking the same question a few times in a row, and difficulty concentrating on basic tasks. If you see these signs in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley Show conversation with James Farr. At one point, James said something that caught me off guard, not because it wasn't true, but because it is. Black Altadena is gone. I know it may seem stupid and non-productive, but I stopped in that moment listening to Tavis and James. I broke down and cried. In the back of my mind, I told myself we can bring it back like it was. But James Farr's reality check hit me like a ton of bricks. My community is being murdered. I said murdered, not by the Altadena Eaton Canyon fire, but by the people we elect to protect us, and by greedy and gatekeeping nonprofits who cannot see the forest for the trees. For the first time since the fire, I truly feel and understand my wife's inconsolable pain. Because I'm struggling to find a path to recovery and at least some form of normalcy. My community is crumbling right in front of my face. Lack of funding to rebuild is slowly destroying us. Many of us can no longer hold out, and developers are gobbling up our property. When I hear voices like Tavis Smiley and James Farr speak truth to power on KBLA Talk 1580, it reminds me that we're not crazy, just unheard. Make no mistake here, KBLA delegation, this is war, and we the people of Black Altadena are losing. It's like waiting for reparations. Not gonna happen, brother. In this new orange man world, no one, no entity is persuaded by right or wrong. There is no consequence for doing the wrong thing and no accolades or support for doing the right thing. Will war-torn Black Altadena survive? Your guess is as good as mine. But what have I got to lose? I'm in my 70s and don't have time to wait. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once suggested that riots break out when people have no hope. But there is nothing left to burn down in Altadena. I wish I could say I remain hopeful that my beloved community will rise again like a phoenix from the ashes. I wish I could. With a KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Pasadena Community Coalition at gmail.com. Reach out to me. As always, we welcome your feedback.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Ozzy Osbourne, the godfather of heavy metal and legendary frontman of Black Sabbath, has died at age 76, just weeks after sharing an emotional farewell with fans at Villa Park. The milestone concert featuring Metallica and Guns N' Roses marked his final bow after decades of genre-defining music and infamous stage antics. Quote, "It is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning." Quote, a statement from his family read, quote, He was with his family and surrounded by love. We ask everyone to respect our family and privacy at this time. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than the incomparable Reverend Dr. Willie Gabriel, who has a doctorate of ministry, a master's of divinity, a master's of public health. He's the pastor of Progressive Baptist Church and the instructor of National Baptist Convention's U.S. Congress of Christian Education. Dr. Gabriel, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Certainly, I'm so happy. Thank you so much for having me.
Dr. Gabriel, just before the break, you were talking about evil.
Yes.
And I couldn't help but look up a quote by Charles Spurgeon, in fact, 2 quotes by Charles Spurgeon. He says, hang that question up in your houses. What would Jesus do? And think of another. How would Jesus do it? For what he would do and how he would do it may always stand as the best guide to us. Then he says, if I am not today all that I hope to be, yet I see Jesus, and that assures me that one day I shall be like him, Charles Spurgeon.
Yes.
How in this time, Dr. Gabriel, do we confront evil?
With love. I wrestled with this question within my own bosom. And I just was inspired by reading that the singular answer is just love. And that struggles. Now I'm struggling with that because if Jesus were here, he would say, you just love them. You love the system to death. Stay in it, create change, but through love. Actions that will change the dynamics in which the way people think, because they are accustomed to fighting evil. Well, you can love evil and it will dissipate when you show love.
Let me ask you a question. Dr. King once, Dr. Gabriel once said, we should be very fortunate that Jesus said we must love, and Jesus did not use the word like.
That's it.
Can you make that distinction for us?
Always. He didn't use like, he said love. And the real preponderance of this whole message was even your enemies. And I'm saying, now, wait a minute, I could love some friends, acquaintances, and family members, but you're telling me to love my enemy also? And I'm like, Dr. King, that's a kind of hard stretch for me. I still got some of that Callio projects in me. I haven't grasped it yet. Like Paul would say, I've comprehended, but I haven't apprehended it yet. And that's where I am with this love journey. I'm not there yet by no stretch of the imagination, but I know that's the answer to this.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to like some people.
Yes, it's liking them. I can like them, but not love them.
Yeah.
And people say, well, if you love somebody, you gotta like them. No, that's not true. I take the challenge on that. I beg the difference. I can love you and not like you because I'm gonna love you with a godly love. And I know, my theologians out there will say, well, Doc, that's, that's unconditional. You don't have any caveats with that. And so how can you say you don't like them? Their behaviors are not likable.
Yeah.
But the person, I can look for some semblance in that person that I can love. The hardest individual. I once said to some colleagues of mine, man, I'd like to spend some time with Osama bin Laden. Talk with him about Jesus and about love.
Wow.
He's angry. He's got a lot of anger in him. And he's responding because of that. Our current leadership in this country, not one individual, but the vast amount of leadership. That's the only thing they can work from is from the center of evil.
So I'm hearing you say, Dr. Gabriel, I'm hearing you say that it is possible to love someone wearing a red hat.
Yes.
But I mean, you have to like them.
I may not like you.
And you may have to dig a little deeper to communicate with them and try and convince them that maybe they should be wearing a blue one or put on a purple one, or come on, let's move on out of hats because you know it's drawing my ire.
That's it. So let's have a dialogue. You know what the real, when you look at this whole crux of it, people fear that which they don't know. You know, Dr. King talked about that. And because you don't know me, you fear me. But once you get to know me, you realize that I'm just like you in so many ways. We have so much in common than we have differences about. But this evil, you know, it's a part of human society. And I don't want to get too theological on our discussion today, but we understand that it's a part of our human society, our psyche, and we can drift in that direction of not just disliking somebody, but we can allow evil to permeate. Let me give you an example.
Take your time.
How does one not even try to help the starving people in Sudan? And we're going to cut all aid, but you got 2 million people. How can you not see a need
for less than 1% of 1% of the federal budget? I mean, de minimal.
How can you not step up and first of all admit the complicity of genocide in Gaza? How can you not see that? I'm still going to love you, but you're wrong with your policies as it relates to Gaza. Both the U.S., who is a complicit, and our co-conspirator, Netanyahu, who's just, you know, doing it for his own self-aggrandizement. That's the only thing I can see. But that kind of evil that's there, I'm not just talking about the folk who shoot a insurance exec in the back and then you become a rock star for shooting somebody in the back. But somebody says you're cute, you're handsome, etc. That's the wrong way in which society is moving in terms of that.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. This is KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, more with Dr. Willie Gable.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed.
Dr. Rosa Milligan, self-appointed mayor of South Central LA. Attention business owners, protect your family now. Your business should never bankrupt your family. Form an LLC now. Register for my Zoom seminar at mytechacademy.net or call 213-878-4742.
In today's Sue Happy society, one lawsuit could wipe out your home, money, investments, even the inheritance meant for your grandchildren. But there's good news. An LLC protects your personal assets and your legacy. It's the shield every smart business owner needs. Register now for Dr. Rosie's powerful seminar at mytechacademy.net or call directly at 213-878-4742.
As an experienced business consultant, I will help you set it up right the first time. Visit mytechacademy.net. Call me 213-878-4742. Protect your family. Secure your legacy. Form your LLC today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action. from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. My very special guest in this hour is none other than Dr. Willie Gable. Dr. Gable has formerly served on many community boards. He is currently a member of Leading Age, Chairman, President, National Baptist Convention, Housing and Economic Development Board, National Conference of Community and Justice, Legacy Foundation, Gulf Coast Housing Partnership, the Director, Faith-Based Initiative, HUD, National Baptist Convention USA, Inc., and the third vice president of the First District Missionary Baptist Association of New Orleans, Moderate International Denominational Ministerial Alliance, and deputy dean instructor with the Louisiana Baptist Home and Foreign Mission State Convention. Dr. Gable, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr.
Thank you, my friend.
Dr. Gable, let me just ask you a quick question. You already know the last 3.5 minutes of our show is for your word of hope. So I'll give you a moment to kind of get your mind organized around that. But I do want to ask you this. You talked about the shooting of the healthcare executive in the back, an act of evil.
Yes.
We witnessed in the last day or so the practically exoneration, if you will, of the police officers in the Breonna Taylor case.
Yes.
On the red side of town, there is one reaction because the officer was offered 1 day by the prosecutors but got 30 plus months. Many of us are very concerned that that wasn't enough justice, including the Breonna Taylor family. But then on the other hand, you saw the left wing celebrate the assassination of a healthcare executive.
Yes.
And glorify the shooter. So our reaction and our response to evil is on both sides.
Absolutely.
And how we control that reaction does matter in our exercise of our theological disciplines. Help us with that, Dr. Gable.
Yeah, it's right before us. When you have an unhealthy and an unholy alliance between so-called Christians with a government that seeks to destroy certain individuals in which it's having governance over, you have the power to do that by taking money and programs and developing policies that we know are antithetical to the growth of this particular country. And it can only be done out of love. Certainly, the Breonna Taylor situation is horrific, and we knew that going in, because all of the officers should have been found guilty in the untimely and horrible death that young lady faced. So we know the system is rigged against certain people in this country going in. I think it was Chief Justice Levy who once wrote, the worst thing you can ever do is get caught up in the criminal justice system. And that's from the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, former Chief Justice Levy. And so, you know, just the system, that's an indication that the system is flawed. And so we're stuck with that. But when you have an unholy alliance of those who are supposed to be practicing love, but establishing a pathway to deny and to tear down. Now, we look at our communities. The whole point of Doge and the DEI attack, DEI isn't dead. Don't let anybody fool you. It's not dead. You can't kill it. We are here and we're not going anywhere. And so you need us to succeed in this country if you're going to continue to grow. We're in every facet. You can't get rid of us and all of the others that you think you cannot live with, that you cannot tolerate. You need us all. But I have a certain issue with those who are supposed to be practicing the Christian doctrine, but at the same time, you're going to propagate through your Project 2025 the disbanding of agencies that you know will hurt a particular race. Our middle class came out of certain jobs in the public sector. We know that. And it's a disbanding of that. That's, you know, when the federal government stepped in New Orleans to get those 4 little girls in school, you needed that. Now we can't depend upon the federal government stepping in on our side. As a matter of fact, everybody says, I'm a part of the civil rights movement. Everything belongs, you know, everybody's now trying to pick from that fruit and said, well, we were harmed because of, let's say, separate but equal. And we were harmed because of, we also were harmed when individuals were getting into colleges through, you know, giving minorities a hand up. No, you just used it on us. You used it on us. And so, but I'm gonna love you anyway. I'm gonna continue to share with you the good news that comes through Jesus Christ anyway. But I will stand flat-footed and debate with you your policies. I'm sorry, they don't work.
Dr. Gable, let me ask this question as we prepare to close our show. When I think about Dad, whom you've known for more than 5 decades, maybe 6, and have worked very closely with,
76.
I think about the Rainbow Coalition, the coalition of conscience, largely built upon the racial dynamic: red,
yes,
yellow, brown, black, and white.
Yes.
That's at the convention, all precious in God's sight. And then he talked about the farmer. He talked about the urban dweller. He talked about the suburban. He talked about broad demographics in the United States. It seems to me in our final few minutes of the program that we are going to ultimately end up moving to some degree, from a rainbow coalition to what I called with this big, better bill, a painbow coalition, where the cuts in Medicare and Medicaid and undermining the social safety net, that we are going to have more in common with people who lose something, regardless of their race, sex, or class, than people who gain something. With a word of hope, Dr. Gable, help us through this big, ugly bill and how we work our way together out of the Painbow Coalition.
Unfortunately, I don't know if there's any hope for the big, beautiful bill, a beautiful, painful bill. Except this. I'm an octogenarian now, all right? Certified octogenarian now. I don't know. I worked hard to pay into Social Security, and I love Medicare. The worst thing you will ever do is try to take away Medicare.
Mm.
You will have walkers and little scooters and canes lined up Pennsylvania Avenue. We'll be there. We may be walking slow, but we'll be there.
Mm.
The seniors in this country, no matter what color or race, we have to fight, you know. And I've worked with seniors all my life. My mother is 99, making 100 next month.
Amen.
There's no way in the world that seniors will set back and allow a system where Medicare and Social Security, along with Medicaid, because some get Medicaid too, will have these massive cuts. What we have to do is continue to fight for that which we know is right. We can love. Now, I said from the onset, the best thing we can do is love in the midst of evil, right?
That's right.
But I didn't say we shouldn't fight for what we know is right. At the core of love is justice. If you follow Jesus, he loved, but he was just. And only a just man can love you and turn over your table while you're selling some doves, which were legal, but in the wrong spot. It should have been away from the Gentile gate. But
Dr.
you're in the
Willie
wrong place.
Dr. Willie Gable has been our very special guest on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Gable, you know you're welcome back on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show anytime.
I thank you, my friend.
I'm so
Appreciate
grateful for
you.
your
Love you, brother.
Love you more. So grateful for your contribution. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, it's Tenacious Tuesdays with On the Grind with Dr. Barbara Arnwine. Dr. Barbara Arnwine is up next. Put your seatbelts on, everybody. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is blaming sanctuary city laws for keeping New York City from alerting ICE about 2 undocumented suspects who shot a border agent.
We are not allowed to coordinate with federal authorities unless the person is convicted of a crime and after he served his time.
Both had criminal records and deportation orders. Border czar Tom Homan blames city policies. Bill Cosby is remembering Malcolm Jamal Warner after his death at 54, calling him, quote, a great studier, end quote, and a mentee he stayed close with. Warner, who played Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, died Sunday while swimming on vacation in Costa Rica. And Bernice King, daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., is calling for the release of Jeffrey Epstein's files after thousands of pages tied to her father's death were made public. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and more for a child in poverty. And there are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year and their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams conducted their first day of training camp today at Loyola Marymount University. The first open practice for fans will be Thursday. This is the first time in 8 years the Rams are starting a training camp without Cooper Kupp. The All-Pro receiver signed with Seattle as a free agent. The Rams have a pretty good replacement for Kupp. They signed 12-year veteran Devontae Adams, a 6-time Pro Bowler. Before signing veteran point guard Chris Paul on Monday, Clippers management asked James Harden if he was okay with Paul joining the team. Harden said he was cool with it. The Clippers wanted to be sure. Harden and Paul were teammates for 2 seasons with the Houston Rockets from 2017 to 2019. There were reports that Harden and Paul did not get along at times because both wanted to be the dominant ball handler. Apparently, things are all good today. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
One like you. Yeah.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time. Whenever news breaks, while we're on the air, it's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580. And we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. And I thank you, thank you.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to Jesse Jackson Jr. show. We've had a last-minute change on our show, but we are grateful that Dr. Willie Gable is going to be with us for more time on the Jesse Jackson Jr. show. Dr. Gable is a native of New Orleans, received his doctorate of ministry from the United Theological Seminary in Dayton, Ohio, Master's of Divinity from Union Baptist Theological Seminary in New Orleans, Master's of Public Health from the University of Southern California, and Bachelor's of Science from Tennessee State University. He's committed to a life of ministry and community service. Dr. Gable is the pastor of Progressive Baptist Church, only its third pastor in 124 years. Dr. Gable, welcome forward to part 2 of the Jesse Jr. show.
Thank you so much.
I'm so glad you're here. I can't help but react to the breaking news that we heard here on KBLA just moments ago and is confirmed by the Associated Press and a number of news mediums across the country and around the world that the files of Martin Luther King Jr. has been released. And I just want to comment because this is over, of course, the objection of the King family.
Mm-hmm.
And Bernice King has now commented that she wants all of the files of Jeffrey Epstein released alongside her father's files.
Yes.
What that suggests to me is that the president himself might be engaged in a kind of triangulation, a kind of wagging the dog. That is, let me take the nation's attention off of Jeffrey Epstein and let me shift it to a venerable American hero who has a federal holiday, Martin Luther King Jr., whose life and legacy is synonymous with the Republic itself. Time magazine referred to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as a founding father of the nation upon his death. And now these files are coming out, thousands of pages of whatever. And some have suggested that when they parse through these files, some of it may expose things about Dr. King's life that none of us want to see or hear about. And Donald Trump might very well be doing it at a time when he himself cannot answer some critical questions about Mr. Epstein.
Absolutely.
You knew Dr. King. What's going on here?
I think that this particular political move by the president of this country is to just deflect from what we know in our hearts of hearts, that there are probably some files in the Epstein situation that has his name written on it. Here's a man who stood flat-footed, looked right into the camera and said, I didn't really know the man that well until all of a sudden we got pictures of you attending certain parties with him. And now you're going to dredge up old news, okay? going to dredge up old news, and the old news is painful. We all know the stories that with the FBI director did at that time, J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover had a fascination with Dr. King that went beyond his legal responsibility. And he purposely tried to get as much information as dirty information on Dr. King, to the extent he was willing to pay guys to lie on Dr. King. That was just how much they feared him. That was the problem. And what did I say earlier? When you fear somebody, you don't really understand them. Fear separates us so much in this world. And we don't get a chance to sit with people and know. I'm not a Buddhist, but I am always amazed. And I think maybe it's because they had 2 atomic bombs dropped on them. That makes them different. But if you ever spent time listening to, meeting with, and talking with people of Japanese descent, they have a whole different outlook, the Japanese culture now, on life. They look for the beauty in it. They look for the constants in it. They look for what growth we can get out of it. They're not interested in bombs and bullets. They have suffered. And it has not been that long. The people who suffered during that period still are living with those scars, physically and internally. So I think that this is a deflection, as has been the first, 6 months. Nothing but deflections from what is the real primary thing that's going on.
I don't know, Dr. Gable, if in my mind or memory, Dr. King was assassinated on April 4th, 1968. I was 3 years old, so I have no memory of Dr. King that's personal. But it seems to me that the hero that we see in Dr. King, if we are fortified in our faith and fortified in our strength, there is nothing, based on what you just said, that the government can bring forward now that isn't fake news. It's got to be some of it fake news. Yeah. And it's dishonest to use a venerable hero like Dr. King to shift blame from yourself. I have never seen Donald Trump accept responsibility for anything. Now, the human mind, when it's in trouble, and I've been there before, goes through a cycle of shame, blame, guilt, resentments, and regrets. Where there's shame, there's blame and guilt. Where there's guilt, there's shame and blame. And where there's blame, there is shame and guilt. It's just a cycle that you stay in until there's forgiveness. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, we're going to explore some of the release of the papers of Martin Luther King Jr., at least its political impacts and consequences, when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZzzQuil Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com/delivery for more details.
Mira, Jorge, let's bring the nail gun over here.
Jose stands tall atop his sustainable flooring company.
Totally. It's renewable and moisture resistant, but we have several green options too. Or we got some beautiful reclaimed oak.
But floored by his success, he needs to hire more installers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in experience and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
1455 Frazee, San Diego. CordellCordell.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580, where our guest in this hour is none other than Dr. Gable. Dr. Gable, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. Gable, welcome forward.
Thank you for having me.
And we are being joined by our weekly series host On the Grind with Barbara Arnwine. Barbara Arnwine is the president and founder of the Transformative Justice Coalition. She's internationally renowned for contributions on critical justice issues, including the passage of the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1991 and the 2006 reauthorization of provisions of the Voting Rights Act. Attorney Barbara Arnwine is a Barbara Wine Esquire, which is Barbara Wine Juris Doctorate, which means she's also Dr. Barbara Arnwine. Welcome forward to your show, Dr. Barbara Arnwine on the Jesse Jackson Jr.
Thank you for having me. I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee, everybody, attending a conference put on by the African American Policy Forum, and Transformative Justice Coalition is a co-sponsor, and we are training 24 young people to be voting rights advocates, or as we call them, democracy defenders, at this summer seminar and summit. And it's been remarkable, very demanding, because there's also a convening of major professors and defenders of racial justice teaching at universities, CRT, intersectionality, you name it. And so we're all convening, talking about the authoritarianism, the racial fascism of this moment, and what we do about it, and how we educate people about it. And we're also talking about voter suppression and voting rights, and how people can best help to organize communities to assert their voting rights. So there's a lot going on, and I apologize for the delay, but I was in a fix, and I'm with you now.
No need to apologize. Your good friend, Dr. Willie Gable, is also our very special guest on your show. Dr. Gable, here's your friend, Dr. Barbara Arnwine.
Yes. Hello.
Hi, Dr.
Barbara.
Gable. Great to see you.
Barbara, I have a question for you. We've just received word and reports from the Associated Press, and Dr. Gable has already addressed it, that the Martin Luther King Jr. files, thousands of pages, are now being released by the Donald Trump Justice Department. Dr. Gable gave us an initial analysis that It's largely part of a deflection from the Jeffrey Epstein matters. We'd like your thought first on the release of these papers.
Well, that's point one. Thank you, Dr. Gable, because that's absolutely correct. Listen, everybody, do you recall a month ago that they were releasing, several weeks ago, they were releasing the JFK files, and they turned out to be what? A big nothing burger. There was just nothing to talk about, and it was, once again, hundreds of thousands of papers. Here we got 230,000 papers being released, and what I have to say, and I'm very clear about this, I don't trust a word, not one word in anything coming from this FBI, given their history. They tried to drive Dr. King to suicide. They tried to destroy his marriage. We know that J. Edgar Hoover was obsessed with Dr. King. But more importantly, we know throughout his history of being FBI director that he destroyed Black leaders. And that was his whole obsession. Callie House, when he first came to office, 1918 up until the early 20s. Marcus Garvey, everybody, don't forget, J. Edgar Hoover is the person who put Marcus Garvey in jail and had him exiled. Don't forget that during COINTELPRO, that when those papers came out, it was made apparent, very clear, that the FBI has said that one of their objectives was to prevent a Black leader from ever becoming, quote, a messiah for his people, because they were, so sexist, his people. And I think people need to understand that this, and remember, COINTELPRO did not come out in those 60s, 70s, quite later, that we saw what their objectives were. And that he lied on Viola, and others, saying that that they were, dangerous and so on and so on, and ended up with her being killed. So, people need to, Viola Luiso, people need to understand that he was a liar. He lied to President Johnson, told him that Viola was what? A prostitute, told him that she was, it was just all a lie. And he knew it was a lie. But he did that because he didn't want Johnson to know about the informant that he had, who knew that their car was going to be attacked in 1965, and that they were going to shoot, the Klan was going to shoot up this car, and they did nothing to protect her. So he creates a lie that she's a prostitute. So folks, I don't trust a word of any document that they put out, because we know they were doctoring evidence and information as early as the 60s, when they were covering Dr. King, that he would sit up, they would say at night, and listen to recordings of Dr. King breathing. Are you kidding me? You got to deal with that kind of mental sickness, that kind of racial depravity. And you think I'm going to care about whatever he had some agents put in a file because they lied about Viola? They put lies in the files. Why would we believe any of this? So that's the first point. The second point is, like I said before, so far, even with the Kennedy files, Kennedy assassination files, they turned out to be a nothing burger. There's just nothing there. People fear that, that they have buried, some evil stuff to try to discredit King. We don't know. But I'll tell you one thing, I don't care, because I don't believe a darn thing they got to say.
Barbara, let me ask this question of Dr. Gable. Dr. Gable, every president,
yes,
from John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Herbert Walker Bush, Bill Clinton, I hope I'm not missing someone, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, first term, Joe Biden, and now Donald Trump have declared these files to be of such national security interests that they had the good wisdom not to release these files. What is it so unique about Donald Trump that he has more insight, and that's with a lot of quotes around it, on this matter than does 1/3 of all presidents who've ever lived?
Well, my friend, I don't know if it's insight, but it is to ignite.
Yeah.
It's not insight, but they want to ignite some responses from certain segments of the community by putting out these blasphemous lies. But let me say this with most assurance to you. I think Ecclesiastes 7 says the end of a thing is better than the beginning. Got to be careful about that. He's just beginning. And
right.
The way I read God's word, if I was Marcus Cosby, I'd say the Bible says the Lord is slow to anger, but great in power, right? And the Lord will not leave the guilty unpunished. Let me put it in Gable's language. What they need to do, they want to release these documents, go ahead. But you all need to buy a big stamp. You know those big rubber stamps you used to get to put a stamp on a piece of paper? Well, you need to get a big stamp that reads "not final, subject to review." Because until the Lord says so, it's not final. Donald can move here, but the Lord already got 7 or 8 moves ahead of him. Let me tell you, my brother and my sister, the end of a thing is going to be much better than the beginning. Let him start. But God's going to work this thing out. The end of the matter is better than the beginning of it. It's evil now, but love will take control in a little while.
That's particularly
Listen, Dr. Barbara is training young people now to fight. Nobody even knows. Nobody knew about that. But whatever you do, listen, Doc, don't give all your secrets away now. That's one thing that they do. They tell us everything they're going to do. I don't know why we don't sit down and determine our game plan from the information they have already given us. That's our problem. We don't use what's in our hand. Determine your game plan from what they are constantly telling you that they're going to do.
Barbara, is there any depth that President Donald Trump will not go in order to protect himself?
No, he's low life. No. And that's all I got to say. There's no depth he won't go. I just won't. And yes, if you heard a little bit of North Carolina in that, I got that from North Carolina. Anyway, from being there for all those years, I just also, I think it's so important for people to understand that in law, we have a theory called you can't use, fruit of the tainted tree, right? So if you have something that comes from unscrupulous, unreliable sources that has been corrupted, then you don't pay it you don't give it value. You don't give it evidentiary value in a case. And here we know what their objectives were. We know what they did. We know how vicious they were, that they would call King at night and just, and this is FBI. I'm not talking about just crazies. And they would call him at night and just, hang up on him, to just agitate him. They sent his wife all these ugly letters to try to force a divorce. They tried to, upset Coretta and to, give her, a mental illness. They tried to do everything they could to destroy this man. And you think they're going to have truthful files? Because those files would have to say what they did, right? A real file, would tell you about all their illegal, unjust, criminal actions that they took to hurt this man. They ain't gonna do that. I mean, come on, folks. We know better. There's no way on earth that they're going to tell us about their tactics, as you said, their secrets, how they, hounded this man, dogged his acquaintances, bugged his rooms, bugged his bed, did all this stuff. Come on. I mean, I just want people to understand how obsessed and wicked and depraved this man was. And I'm talking about J. Edgar Hoover, who did all of this, directed all of this. So they set out to destroy him when he was shot. You think they were all concerned about justice for King? Are you kidding me? Come on, folks. We got to be honest about what this FBI has been in the past and what it is today. They ain't that good to right now. Cash Patel sitting up there with his 100 plus hit list of people he wants to prosecute, put in jail. This crazy administration running around talking about they want to, put Obama in jail. They want to put Biden in jail. They want to put Harris in jail. They want to put any political opponent in jail. Folks, it's just a continuum of a really, really corrupted political law enforcement scheme. I think, during the years of Eric Holder and during the years of some other, AGs, we've had good ones. But for the most part, they knew what happened with the FBI and they didn't expose it, did they? So I just think it's so important for us to know our history. And if we don't respect that history from which we come, then we don't understand how then people won't understand what these files really are. They're just a diversion, they're lies, and they're untruthful, and they're incomplete.
Let me just say this, because we have just about 45 seconds before we come back for the break, and it's a very, very hard break. I think, Dr. Gable, in the last hour, we talked about love. We talked about overcoming the idea of evil. When we come forward, I'd like you to share with us the reaction to these files. On our side of town, we'll be outraged. But on the other side of town, they'll be defacing Dr. King statues. They'll be calling for the removal of his statues from public places.
His birthday, the cancellation of the birthday, they back to that again.
And so it's going to create a major reaction. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on The Grind with Barbara Arnwine. Our very special guest is Dr. Willie Gable on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. New York City is adding 5,000 after-school seats for K-5 students this fall. Black Mayor Eric Adams says the $21 million investment moves the city closer to universal free after-school programs.
Participate in sports, robotics, the arts, tennis lessons, all of those things that children should enjoy after the classroom experience.
The 40 schools were chosen based on need. Rapper Rick Ross is finally addressing his viral 2021 walkout on the 85 South show, saying he left mid-interview because he did it, quote, for free, end quote, and had other things to do. DC Young Fly responded, noting stars like T.I., Boosie, Busta Rhymes, and Snoop Dogg also appeared for free. And the Trump administration has released 230,000 documents on Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. King was killed in Memphis on April 4th, 1968. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and more for a child in poverty. And there are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year and their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams conducted their first day of training camp today at Loyola Marymount University. The first open practice for fans will be Thursday. This is the first time in 8 years the Rams are starting a training camp without Cooper Kupp. The All-Pro receiver signed with Seattle as a free agent. The Rams have a pretty good replacement for Kupp. They signed 12-year veteran Devontae Adams, a 6-time Pro Bowler. Before signing veteran point guard Chris Paul on Monday, Clippers management asked James Harden if he was okay with Paul joining the team. Harden said he was cool with it. The Clippers wanted to be sure. Harden and Paul were teammates for 2 seasons with the Houston Rockets from 2017 to 2019. There were reports that Harden and Paul did not get along at times because both wanted to be the dominant ball handler. Apparently, things are all good today. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley show conversation with James Farr. At one point, James said something that caught me off guard. Not because it wasn't true, but because it is. Black Altadena is gone. I know it may seem stupid and non-productive, but I stopped in that moment listening to Tavis and James. I broke down and cried. In the back of my mind, I told myself we can bring it back like it was. But James Farr's reality check hit me like a ton of bricks. My community is being murdered. I said murdered, not by the Altadena Eaton Canyon fire, but by the people we elect to protect us, and by greedy and gatekeeping nonprofits who cannot see the forest for the trees. For the first time since the fire, I truly feel and understand my wife's inconsolable pain. Because I'm struggling to find a path to recovery and at least some form of normalcy. My community is crumbling right in front of my face. Lack of funding to rebuild is slowly destroying us. Many of us can no longer hold out, and developers are gobbling up our property. When I hear voices like Tavis Smiley and James Farr speak truth to power on KBLA Talk 1580, it reminds me that we're not crazy, just unheard. Make no mistake here, KBLA delegation, this is war, and we the people of Black Altadena are losing. It's like waiting for reparation. Not gonna happen, brother. In this new Orange Man world, no one, no entity is persuaded by right or wrong. There is no consequence for doing the wrong thing and no accolades or support for doing the right thing. Will war-torn Black Altadena survive? Your guess is as good as mine. But what have I got to lose? I'm in my 70s and don't have time to wait. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once suggested that riots break out when people have no hope. But there's nothing left to burn down in Altadena. I wish I could say I remain hopeful that my beloved community will rise again like a phoenix from the ashes. I wish I could. With a KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Pasadena Community Coalition at gmail.com. Reach out to me. As always, we welcome your feedback.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on this Wednesday, On the Grind with Dr. Barbara Arnwine, Esquire. She is the former president of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. She's become an internationally renowned contributor on the questions of critical justice, including the passage of the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1991. And our very own Dr. Willie Gable is with us. He is the instructor of the National Baptist Convention's U.S. Congress of Christian Education. He has a Doctor of Ministry, a Master's of Divinity, a Master's of Public Health, and the pastor of the Progressive Baptist Church. Lady and gentlemen, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you.
Dr. Gable, let me, in the last hour, we spent a lot of time talking about overcoming evil with love. But there is going to be a reaction on the other side to the release of these papers that could end up in the debasement, the desecration of Dr. King-related monuments that will obviously incite or excite the other side. The question I have for you, because I believe this is coming, and that last editorial that we heard on KBLA, which that one line tickles me, it's not going to happen, brother. There is no way they're going to turn to love on this question. They're going to use this moment to deflect what are really the core issues in the release of the Epstein papers and the role of the president of the United States before he was president. So since, it's not going to happen that they're going to show love, what can we anticipate and what can we do to defend our history, our hero in this hour?
Well, we've got to speak up again, but speak up in love. The process is this way. Papers are released. The cable news junkies will go in. Those journalists are going to go in and cherry pick those things that are prominent. The majority of Americans, unless you're an attorney, right, Doc? Arnwine, you're not gonna read that. Most Americans, we're gonna get it from newsmakers. But on the right-wing side, they have a whole cadre, an army of individuals who will spew out insults and misinformation about Dr. King. That's where the problem is. They are the ones who will ignite the violence in terms of destroying his monuments. And some knucklehead will probably move for the King Day to be rescinded and or all
Definitely
the
knucklehead.
All the streets in the U.S. that are named after Martin Luther King should be changed. I'm just going to say good luck with that.
Yeah, right down the middle of every Black community, right?
Yeah, good luck with that. You can't erase the man's memory from us. Go ahead and try to write another narrative. That's okay. We will listen, but we won't retain. That's not us. That's not who we are. They tried to do the same thing to Harriet Tubman during her time. They did. They tried to just destroy her once she became validated. They tried to say she broke all kinds of laws of the United States. But it was slavery. How could you not break a law? You don't want to be bonded into anybody. So all we have to do as a people is remember who we are. That's all. Remember who you are. What is that? I think it's over in Habakkuk somewhere. There's not one who is righteous. But he also says that there are those, but when we practice righteousness, we must practice righteousness with justice. If it's not just, that's what Jesus' mantra was, man. He was a justice fighter. You can put a banner over him and put a rifle in his hand. He was the liberator of the people. We all got liberated because of his message of love.
Barbara, a lot of people and their legacies could obviously get caught up in whatever it is the government was listening to, creeping around, bothering, intimidating, trying to destroy the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. and what he was doing. I want to remind everyone that Dr. King was a human being.
Yes.
He had a right to live.
Yes.
He had a right to privacy. He had a right to none of your business.
Mm.
And then what takes place in my home or in my closet or in my bathroom or in my hotel is none of your damn business.
Yeah.
Dr. King had that same right too. And when he emerged with magnificent words, Barbara, and poetry that inspired the nation and inspired the world, Dr. King was pushing through his own depressions to speak hope to the time and to speak hope to people who he suffered with. They suffered, he suffered with us. And while we suffered together, we formed community. And he pushed his way and our way out of depression by suffering together. Barbara?
Well, first of all, his record of inspiring the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Act that everybody in this country has benefited from. White women, white men, all of the people in the country, Black folks, Latinos, Asian Americans.
I think we just lost.
We have lost
for a minute. She'll come right back to us. Did you want to pick up on that litany she was going through, Reverend?
Yes, you can call the roll on it. Everybody benefited from the movement. Everybody benefited.
Police officers who aren't 6'3", remember that's because of the voting rights. I mean, that's because of the Civil Rights Act. He also
Barbara, hold on one second.
make sure.
Barbara, don't fly past that one too quickly. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 made it possible for a 5'2" white man to become a state police officer. Because
absolutely,
in many
firefighters, all these jobs.
You had to be 6'4" to be a state trooper, so you could get out of your car and intimidate people. So even short white men benefited from the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Barbara, I did not mean to cut off that list.
Straight.
I did not want to leave
and
out
a whole lot of white women, including these Pam Bundys and the rest of them sitting up trying to do the evil Trump. They all benefited from it. So it's just, it's an amazingly sweeping, societally transformative act. Just think about it. It got rid of all of those, separate accommodations that if I'm Black and I walk in a restaurant that I got to sit in the Black section. I mean, all of that stuff, it got rid of. So people don't understand the beauty of that Civil Rights Act. Take time, if you ever can, and read it and read how it implemented everything. He also was instrumental with John Lewis, who we celebrated his 5th anniversary of his Good Trouble passing last Thursday. They together and so many others made it possible to have the Voting Rights Act of 1965. When you look and you see Hakeem Jeffries, when you look and you see any Black congressperson, senator, anyone from the South, it's all the Voting Rights Act. I mean, at the time that the Voting Rights Act was implemented in Alabama, less than 5% of Black people were registered. Less than 5%. Throughout the South, that's what it looked like. That act transformed this nation. So when you sing the praises of anyone, Sheila Jackson Lee, when you look at all of the people, Eva Clayton, when you look at Perrin Mitchell, when you look at, all of them, they are beneficiaries of the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
And Jackson Jr.
Even in death.
Barbara, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I already know when we come forward, 2 great words of hope from Barbara Arnwine and Dr. Willie Gable.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
You have cancer. The 3 words no one wants to hear. Of the cancers that impact our community, lung cancer is the most dangerous. More people succumb to lung cancer than colon, breast, and prostate combined. Black men are 12% more likely to develop lung cancer, and cases for Black women are rising. Early detection and comprehensive treatment is the best way to beat this dreaded disease. Providence is a research leader in multi-cancer early detection, offering blood tests that identify fast-spreading cancers that don't show symptoms in early stages. The Providence Los Angeles Integrated Network Cancer Program determines best protocols for each patient, interacting with specialists who share experiences, perspectives, and new findings specific to each case. With over 1,000 board-certified physicians, including top oncologists, surgeons, radiologists, and nurse specialists, Providence delivers whole-person care that understands your culture, values, preferences, and priorities. So, if you hear the words, "you have cancer," all you need is faith and providence.org/cancer.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tuesdays on the Jackson Jr. Show. Attorney Barbara Arnwine, who is always on the grind, and our very special guest is Dr. Willie Gable. Attorney Arnwine, just before the break, you were making a point. I'd love for you to make that point. Please finish it, and then give us a word of hope. And then we're going to close on the final word of hope by Dr. Willie Gable. Take your time,
Okay.
Attorney Arnwine.
Well, I was making the point that even in his death, after he was assassinated, murdered, even as he died, the most hated man in America, because of all of this evil that had been done by law enforcement and the FBI and others against him. Even as he died, the most hated man in America, at his death was greeted with the passage of the 1968 Fair Housing Act. 3 acts, folks. Civil Rights Act of 64, Voting Rights Act of 1965, Fair Housing Act of 1968. All of these have been amended over the years, but these are the fundamental laws that he inspired, that his advocacy made possible. You can't change that. You can write all kind of files. You can accuse him of whatever you want to, because we don't know what's in these files. But the one thing you can't change is what he accomplished. And every single American living today, you benefited from that. When you go to vote and nobody asks you about your parents' voting record, when you go to vote and nobody asks you to count beans in jelly beans in a basket, or jelly beans in a jar, all of that is because of him and all of the many people who worked with him, like John Lewis. And I just got to finish by saying that what gives me hope in this moment, those young people downstairs here at the Scarrett Bennett Center in good old Nashville, Tennessee. They give me hope. If you could just see them, they're so beautiful in their commitment to building this America, a better America that we need. What gives me hope is the hundreds and thousands of people who marched, who gathered in the streets on last Thursday, July 17th, in honor of the good trouble spirit and legacy of John Lewis. So I'm hopeful. I mean, millions of people last week read about John Lewis. I would say we probably reached what 100 million. It was just amazing how many people read about him. I'm talking about the press coverage, and in the streets, hundreds of thousands of people of all races, all classes, all genders, intergenerational. I cannot be happier because it tells me that there's a spirit out there that still cares about racial justice. And I want to give a big shout out to the new national Christian leadership movement and all those 2,500 churches, black churches, for their participation, for where they're coming from. There's so much to be said, but thank you for having me. It's a joy to be able to do this work in this moment because it's needed. And we will never, ever sit back and be silent because King taught us that you got to fight. If you want to advance, you got to fight. You got to take the space. You got to move forward. Thank you.
Let me just say that the nation owes you a debt of gratitude for what you were able to accomplish last week. More than, I think, 1,600 different events across the country, some around the world, to bring attention to the extraordinary work of John Lewis. And we are forever grateful. Barbara, how can we continue to support your organization?
You can go to tjcoalition.org, become a supporter, become a donor, but also become a volunteer. We need people. We are active in 29 states with our partners, and we need resources to make sure that people's voting rights are expanded, that their voting rights are protected, and that people are educated to be able to vote freely without voter suppression. It's estimated the last election, possibly as high as 8 million people had their votes suppressed. Folks, when I say suppressed, I meant not counted. So it's important for us to understand that we are the solution to the problems that exist. If we don't, they will continue to chip away and destroy this, our voting rights and our democracy.
I just want to add, Dr. Gable, before you give us a final word of hope, because we'll have about 5 minutes for that word, that I am very proud of the work that Coretta Scott King did in the establishment of the King Center.
Yes.
Continued work that Bernice and Martin III continue to do on behalf of all of humanity and that King Center. But I also want to offer a reminder that Martin Luther King Jr., in his lifetime, established the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, recognizing that there was a Southern Christian leadership problem. We probably need a Northern Christian Leadership Conference as part of the unfinished work of Martin Luther King Jr. And I don't know anyone who's doing a harder job of training pastors in that social justice work than you, Dr. Willie Gable. A final word.
You know, I agree with you. We need it. But, you know, your father and the late Dr. Clay Evans, you know, they tried to make it work up the north. They just was kind of slow in the north. But it was in New Orleans at New Zion Baptist Church that Dr. King, along with Dr. Davis, Dr. A.L. Davis, a pastor of New Zion, established the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And I certainly enjoyed in the latter years as he waned, my good friend Joe Lowry, who led the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, you know, was always a stalwart that stood up for justice. I'd like to say one thing in terms of as we close out here about hope, and that is this is not new. When evil permeates and permeates the psyche of everybody, and it's vast and it's moving and it's wild spreading. You know, as I said before, I mean, I'm a Christian, so I have to stand on Christian principles. Now, if I was something else, I'd stand on something else, but I ain't got nothing else to stand upon. That's what I believe, man. And that's my faith. And so, you know, when I read scripture and study that, and, you know, I used to teach that stuff, so I have to kind of believe what I taught. And that is God's not through with it yet. In the past, when it happened, God would raise up folk from an unlikely place to knock off kilter, old folk would say, knock them down. But he would use people you would never think about. When he finished working with them, he'd whip their behind and throw them away. Only to get you to where you belong. Black folk in America, and people need to hear this, black folk and white folk and Asians and Latinos, we did not come here the way we came, through the Middle Passage, on ships. The God who runs the universe didn't allow that to happen, and that was coincidental. Black folk, Dr. Barber, we were put here for a purpose.
Yes.
And until
I believe
we
that.
start standing up,
yes,
and living out our purpose, that's where it's going to change. We have to recognize that we were put here for a purpose, that the world might know he lives.
Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, this is KBLA Talk 1580. It is Tenacious Tuesdays, but it feels like Tenacious Sunday.
No,
and
this is every day.
we have a word of hope here. My producer has put in the chat that both Attorney Barbara Arnwine and Dr. Willie Gable have delivered their messages today on Christian Experience. On American Christian Experience. We are unique in history. We are unique in Christian history. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guests on Tenacious Tuesday, On the Grind with Barbara Arnwine, and none other than a person who's probably trained more pastors across our country in social justice activism, Dr. Willie Gable. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, we will be back with Dr. Todd Yeary on Wealthy Wednesdays.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
All right, y'all can cut me off now.
I'm out. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, Barbara. See you next week.